What's up and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tuesday Tips and Tricks. I'm your host, Max at WeVideo, and as always, we've got another great episode lined up for you guys today. Before we get started, let us know where you're watching in from, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, as well as hit the bell in the top right corner so you get a notification anytime WeVideo releases a new video. We also have our Tuesday Tips and Tricks landing page, which we'll paste in the chat here. This is where you can go and watch any of our previous episodes, as well as subscribe for an email update on upcoming episodes. These emails go out every Thursday to let you know what each new week's topic is going to be on. And with that, let's get started. We got a great episode today. We're going to be talking about static text and the cool things you can do with it. And before we kind of get into that, let's bring out our co-host, Tyler Wall.
What's up, Max? Happy Tuesday once again. Let's get into some static text today.
Happy Tuesday. Before we get started, for all our viewers, if you're watching and you have any questions about anything, let us know just in the chat. We'll get to them either throughout or towards the end of the show if it's not related to the topic at hand. Cool.
All right, let's hop into it. We are in WeVideo. I've got a couple clips on the timeline, and today we're going to be going over static text. So within our text tab here, we're going to go to static folder, and you're going to see a bunch of different options. So we're going to go over a few of these, not all of them, but give you guys a good idea of some of the possibilities within this folder, what you can do with our static text. So let's just start it off with the basic text.
Yeah, one thing to point out right off the bat, Tyler, is that all of these options here in static text are free on all plans.
Yeah.
So if you're on a free plan, you can use all of these. You can add animation to them and make them essentially a motion title without paying for it.
Yeah, that's a great point. We can do a lot of different things with just the static option. So let's go ahead and start playing around with some customization. All right, so when we double click in, we will enter our clip editor, in this case, text editor. Let's go ahead. We can do all the basics here. So I can change the actual text.
Tuesday.
Maybe we change it to the Tuesday. All right, so we got our text change, and we can change the font. You notice I have these brand fonts. If you have a business plan, you can actually highlight a couple different fonts that you use most often for your brand, and then those will show up at the top here like this. Okay, so now we can go into all these different options. If you're familiar with any sort of text editor like Word or just your basic notepad, you're probably going to be familiar with most of these. We can change it to bold. Since this is already a font with black, that doesn't affect it, but I can italicize, underline, and then some more fun options here. We have the background colors. So there's two different background colors. This is the background text color. So when I do this, it'll change the actual text color. Now we can adjust the opacity of that here. Oh, it's having a little issue with our stream, I think, just keeping up. But that'll change the opacity. Let's go ahead. I don't know if we want it. Yeah, red's fine. All right. And then next we have this one. This is the little box around the text. And then finally, this is the background color. So we can change this as well, and that will create this bounding box around everything. So lots of different options of how to customize and make this font and text box really your own. I can also use this color picker here and then adjust my color to whatever I like. So it could be whatever hue you desire.
Yep. So
Add
you can
more.
paste your hex codes on there as well,
Right,
or
exactly.
the RGB code. Yep.
Yeah, hex code. So if you know exactly the color that you need, maybe you're working with a team and they already have selected out a few different color hex codes. This is where you would enter that. I think let's go ahead and put WeVideo's blue in there. If I can remember, 0089CC, I think.
Yep.
And that will adjust just like
That
that.
looks like it.
So those are the basics. Then you'll notice these sliders as well. So this will adjust our size. If you want to change the position of your text, you can do that here, where you align it. Let's go with the center line height. So this is the leading, spacing in between our text. And then this will be the kerning. So spacing in between each individual character. So you can see that adjust here. So those are great options to have. We can really dial in this text to be exactly what we want. And you'll notice that some of these options aren't in the motion titles. That's just due to the way they're built. So when we use the static text, we actually do open up a lot more opportunities for customization. Some of these things we just went over, as well as this free rotate. So I can take this circle at the top of the bounding box and actually rotate my text to the position that I like. So it could kind of be in this doorway. This guy's about to do a little skydive. And you can also adjust this box to the size that you like. So just by grabbing the corners or the edges, we can adjust like that.
Nice.
And then obviously you see it's kind of cutting it off. If you have too much text in there, it will do that, depending on how you have this aligned, the size, etc. So just keep that in mind. If we don't like these colored backgrounds, we talked about this a second ago, but you can actually adjust the opacity, so to get rid of that, or use this X here, and that will get rid of it as well.
Awesome.
Cool. So we can go over animation. You can see this tab up here. That's the other option we have. So we can create some nice like slides, scale-ins. Really depends what you want to do with this text. So you can start it here, end it there. And we've gone over animation before on previous episodes. So if you guys are not too familiar with animation, check out
that episode.
Yeah.
Nice.
But you can pretty much get the basics. I mean, that's the idea of WeVideo, right? Keep this easy, intuitive for new users. So hopefully you can figure out animation pretty quickly just by playing around with it. You create a start and end point that will create the animation, and then we can adjust how fast it's going by trimming this clip to be longer or shorter. And shorter will obviously be quicker. So let's duplicate. Boom. Cool. Now we have a nice little slide in. You ever do skydiving, Max?
I actually have. I did it.
Really?
Did it right towards the beginning of last year, right before
Nice.
we went on lockdown. I think I did it in February. Super fun. It's all over in a matter of minutes.
Right.
And it feels, I mean, you feel like exhausted, like you went through like full day. Just all that adrenaline. comes crashing down about half hour to an hour after and too exhausted.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty exhilarating. This is a cool shot right here. We can see the actual right before you jump. All right, so let's just keep going through some of these. Lower third, this is something you would use in an interview typically, just to call out someone's name that's being interviewed or that's showing up on screen for the first time. So it's a great one to use, especially in that situation. Maybe not in skydiving per se, but we could play around with doing an animation for that as well.
Yeah, these are especially good for introductions of people, interviews. These are very helpful if you've got someone who's speaking and you don't want to have them say who they are. You can just have that pop up at the bottom, and that'll give their name, maybe their title, where they're from, that sort of thing. Very common in video interviews, fireside chats.
Yeah. And if you have a plan with the motion titles, there are a bunch of options for lower thirds in there, but this gives us the the ability to do some of these other things that you wouldn't find in the motion titles, like our background color and some other adjustments we can make here.
Yeah. So we just had a question come in from Gary Schrager. Tyler, he's asking, he never knew that you could free rotate text. If you add an animation, can you change the text rotation through that? I don't think you can.
No, so I don't believe we can either, but let's try it out.
Yeah, looks like you still have the basic 90 there.
Yeah. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, so right now, animation does not include rotation, but definitely something we can bring up to the product team.
Yeah, we're hoping we can get that changed.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So let's move on to kind of some of the other options there. There's the lower thirds. Great option here is you can also do subtitles, rolling credits.
Yeah, so I know we've gone over subtitles. That is also in our static text folder. So pretty basic here, right? It's already created this nice overlay for you, so our text does stand out. And that's usually a common way to display our subtitles. I think the easiest way to go about doing subtitles is really, creating one of these, playing your clip, getting a good chunk of what is being said on screen, typing that out here, saving those changes, and then you can just adjust and match it up exactly with your verbiage.
Yeah, I forget. We had a guest come on who routinely did this for their videos, and their strategy was to take the subtitle block, expand it for the entire length of their video,
Okay.
and then translate or transcribe that first bit. And then once they were done, save changes and then cut the block and then move on to the next portion of it and just continue cutting. That way she didn't have to repeatedly drag a new subtitle block and position it onto her timeline.
Yeah, I like that strategy.
So little hacks there, but all in all, I mean, subtitles are can be a bit of a process depending on what you're doing. And actually, just today, I heard Zuckerberg over at Facebook announced that Instagram now has captions on all Instagram stories.
Okay, yeah. I think I've seen that actually show
Yeah.
up. So it will auto caption is what you're saying?
Yeah, it'll auto caption. I don't know if I haven't played around with it. I don't know if you can like turn it on or off or if it's an auto thing, but something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then YouTube also has their closed captions feature where any video you can just click it and it'll do their best to transcribe what's going on. Yeah, so let's touch on those rolling credits because these are slightly different, I believe, in terms of the other static text, in that you can just add additional sections to it.
Yes. So we have the end credits option here. I've already dragged it into the timeline. It is static by nature, but typically when we see rolling credits, they are moving. So you'll see we've already put in some sample text here. You can continue to add on names down the line, and that's there's already an actor too. That will add them here. So this could be very, very long in terms of the names that we add. Save those changes. Oh, actually, let's animate it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the goal.
Did get
All
a
right.
question from Albert T. Edwards Jr. Didn't you used to have rolling Star Wars like credits? I could get it to work.
So Star Wars is more of a almost at an angle, right? The text,
like 3D, yeah.
I don't believe we've had that in the past. Not since I've been.
Might be a motion title, I don't know, but today actually is May
That's
4th.
true. It is May
So
the
if we want
4th.
to try and do our variation of creating Star Wars rolling credits, we can.
I don't
Are
know
we
if
able to slightly rotate this static text? Not through
So
the animation, but just through the text itself? Or is that only for that one option?
no. So Star Wars is actually
Like
tilted
3D,
on the
yeah.
Z-axis, which is essentially 3D. So I don't believe we'll be able to recreate that, unfortunately. That would be great for May the 4th, though. But you can see here I've got the standard rolling credits. And we could change the color to make it more Star Warsy. I think they use like a
Gold,
orangey,
yellowish.
yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no like Z-axis 3D options within WeVideo, but
Who knows? Maybe soon.
maybe 3D makes things very complicated.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so that's the rolling credits. Again, when you adjust this length, that will adjust the speed. And that's a great thing to have for, projects that involved a lot of people.
Cool.
A couple other options. We got the kind of like business card.
Oh, so we got a couple
sources.
questions that just came in regard to that rolling credits.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you could show the animation feature of the rolling just one more time, Tyler.
Okay, yeah. So right here in our animation tab, I did kind of go over that pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it'll start out here. I'm actually going to change the color because it's kind of hard to see on our background. Let's make it, just go with white. So by default, you'll have it kind of dead center. If we go into our animation tab, you're going to want to start with your text off screen. So either up above or down below, depending on how you want the text to roll. So
Perfect.
let's go below. So drag it so that it's just off screen. And then we're going to click the End tab. And let's see, I already had it up there. So on your End tab, you're going to want it to be just off screen up here. And then you want to pay attention to your X axis as well. So if I use 0, or actually it's 177, so let's copy that. So this will just ensure that our text is going nice and straight up. So I can actually preview this here. And that's going to be in a straight line.
And then, Tyler, let's say you want that to go slower.
Yep. So now back in our timeline, just drag this clip out, and that's going to create that nice slow roll.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, Albert, let us know if you have any more questions on that. And then Gary Schrager did comment on the Star Wars credits. He said that he had actually made the Star Wars credits in WeVideo by making it separate as a JPEG and kind of formatting the text. So I know there's 3D options in like PowerPoint and stuff. And then you could just import that into WeVideo as an image, and you could do it that way.
Yeah, Gary, that's a great way to do it. So he just basically created a tilted text, and then you could animate in the same fashion we just did, and that would look pretty close to our Star Wars title.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So next question, just kind of follow up to that one, is how can you also fade?
Okay. So add like a little opacity fade. All right, so when we click on our text, we will have this option here. It looks like a little line. Click that, it's going to bring up our opacity line. So I can go ahead and click on this. It will create a new keyframe, and then I just can drag this down, and then you'll see this is creating a fade. So it's going from 0 opacity all the way to 100. And since our text is off screen, you can't really see the fade happening. So let's make it a little bit longer by dragging this way. And you see that's fading in.
Yeah, and you can also just drag a transition onto this.
Yeah, it's another way to do it. So let's show you that. Control Z, Command Z, undo that. Another way to fade is just go to our transition tab, use the crossfade.
Yep. And again, dragged. That was really quick, at least for me. So you just drag that on there.
Yeah.
And you can adjust the timing there by clicking on it. So yeah, there you go.
On this text.
Perfect.
Great. Good question, Albert. Looks like we got John from the UK joining us. Welcome, John.
Yep. Keep the questions coming, guys. In the meantime, there were other things I did want to briefly touch on that came through as questions, either to the Facebook business community or in response to emails. The first was how to add music, specifically for the free plan.
All right, that's pretty easy. So in our audio tab, we do have this free music folder. So if you have a free plan, all this music here will be available to you. And you can click to preview. And just like anything else in WeVideo, when we select it and drag it into the timeline, it's going to let us drop it in. Since it is audio, we'll not go in a video track. As you can see, it turns red. And then we'll highlight green when it can be added. So boom, we got our audio track down here. And that's the basics. You can adjust the audio, just like the opacity. All right. Any other questions coming up? Those are the basics of static text, guys. So if you guys do have more questions on this section, fire them off now. We can go over that. Otherwise, I think we've pretty much covered that.
Did we show? Sorry, we did get kind of a lengthy question from Albert that just came in. This looks like a question we'll have to continue offline with the support team in regard to embedded URLs and CSV type catalog. So Albert, yeah, our support team, you can get a thread going in there and we can join you in that. That's support@wevideo.com. Tyler, did we show how to push clips through the timeline? Did I miss that just
No,
now?
no.
Okay.
Yeah, that came up in the business community, right?
Yeah. So we had another question that came in through the WeVideo business community on Facebook, which encourage everyone to join. And this was how to insert a clip at the beginning of your timeline and then push everything else behind it.
Yeah. All right. Let me add a clip here. So we have 3. Sometimes we end up with a lot on our timeline and we want to add something at the beginning, but we don't want to have to select everything and push it. So if you actually grab a clip and drag it in, you'll see this yellow bounding box. So if I bring it to the beginning of our playhead and let go, it's going to give me a couple options. I could replace the clip that I'm over, or I can insert and push, and this will push everything forward and make room for this clip. So let's do that. You can see that took place right there. Yeah, the same would be done if we put it like in between this clip, insert and push, and you can see it added space here. So hopefully that answered the question.
Oh, all right. One more question that did just came in, and this is from Kim Clint. She's asking, can you add a live link into a video for specifically for touchscreens? That would be cool. So this isn't a feature that you would do through your video editor. It's a feature you would do through your video publisher. So if you're using YouTube, for instance, you can actually do that for free. You can add a live link. And I believe they're called cards in YouTube, Tyler.
Yeah. Annotations, I think there's cards as well. Yeah, it depends on where the video is being published, I believe.
Yeah.
If it's mobile, I think it's called cards.
So this is, and you can do it for free. This is something I think you're limited to like 5 cards per video, but you'll frequently see that. You can also do this through Vimeo, and then I'm sure it's probably a feature available on other paid editors or paid publishers, excuse me. Cool. Yes, check that out. That's going to be the solution to your problem. Awesome. Well, it looks like that's it for questions, and it looks like that's it for time. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you have any suggestions or questions for future topics, just go ahead and paste them in the chat, and we'll get to them in the coming weeks. I know next week we're looking to do a topic that was suggested a week or 2 ago in regard to, well, you'll just have to wait and see. We'll keep you posted. Subscribe to our Tuesday Tips email updates, and you can find out in advance. And with that, we'll see y'all next week. Happy creating.
Bye, guys.